This week on Another Movie Podcast, we talk about what's going to happen to the Transformers universe.
We learned that a new Venom trailer dropped and it maybe wasn't everything fans were hoping for.
And could we possibly see a new Joker on the horizon? There's been talks of some casting.
Ooh. Are you going to do it?
I wish. I wish I was that talented. Hello and welcome back to Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And it was only until last week when I looked at the date and I'm like, where the fuck did January go? We better do a show before people lose interest. That we finally said, yep, let's get onto it this week.
Yeah, exactly. We've got all our affairs in order and are ready to go. But that said,
and to be honest,
yeah.
There's been no movie news in the last 6 weeks, so that's why we really haven't put a show together.
It kicked off this week, though. There's been a lot now in the last sort of week, and of course, the fantastic release of a great movie.
Yes. And what better to bring us together than the release of Black Panther? And we'll quickly give a brief update of what we've been doing the last 6 weeks, and then we'll get into what we thought of Black Panther.
Sounds good.
Now, I believe there's some exciting news on your horizon. I finally might have a replacement for you in, say, 18 years' time. I believe you're having a son. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. In early May, late April. Yeah, new little one coming along.
Yes.
Which is,
a little mini Callie. That's awesome.
Mini Callie, that's what they call it.
Yes.
That poor bastard, doomed before he began. But, he'll give it a good crack.
No, that's awesome. And as I said, in 18 years' time, I finally got the replacement I've been looking for. Hopefully he's a chip off the old block. And you never know, our sons might have their own podcast together.
That would be awesome. That'd be cool, passing on the mantle.
The Imo Sean Show, they'll call it.
The Wish We Were Sean's, because they were so cool show.
Yes, correct.
Too long of a name.
Correct. Yes. All right, so let's talk about the release of Black Panther this week. And I believe you have a story to tell.
Well, look, I went and saw this show. I started work at a new school this year in a different part of the expanded Melbourne area. And I had to go straight after work. So I just found the nearest cinema and I went there. And let me tell you, you don't know pain until you have to go to a cinema that is not your usual. And this place, bunch of savages, can I just say. I'm not going to name where it is or anything like that. I don't want to shame anybody for realsies. But can I just say, just very uncouth. No movie-going nous. People arriving late, on their phones, talking, rustling. Rustling chips is fine for the first 10 minutes because people are sort of, still getting settled. But right into the movie, I'm like, gosh, do these people not understand just basic cinema etiquette? The answer is they do not. And somebody rigged. And it wasn't me this time.
Was this one of the big chains?
It was not one of the big chains. It was not a big chain, yeah. But, and I don't think it's the chain's fault at all. I just think it happened to be this group of people. And I thought I was going to be safe because it was the 3:45 session, straight after school. I thought nobody's going to go to that one. They're all going to go to see later in the night. But no, I was wrong. And they obviously made the decision very late in the day because they were getting there at 3:55, 4 o'clock. I'm like, guys, the movie has started.
Animals.
Sit down. Bunch of savages.
Disgusting.
Yeah. How about yourself? You had a
Well,
fun
I actually
experience?
Yes, I went and watched this with my son Ryder on Valentine's Day. So
it was your date. I love it.
It was the session of Black Panther. So we were getting our bromance on. And the cinema was quite full, actually, which I was quite surprised about. But we were sitting behind this couple, and you could just tell that this was their Valentine's Day night. And she had no fucking idea what movie she was watching at all because he had to explain to her the whole fucking time what was going on. And it shit me because they were right behind me. And as I said, obviously he dragged her along to this. Oh, baby, this is going to be so romantic. It was kind of like when Deadpool came out last year on Valentine's Day. So that shit me to tears. But during the movie, it's become official that I've officially told my first bad dad joke. My son called me out on it. So we're watching Black Panther, and a lot of it happens inside a cave. It's kind of like a cave. And I said to Ryder, this is Black Panther's cat cave. And he just turns to me and says, Dad, that is the worst pun I've ever heard. So it's official. I'm now a creator of bad.
Oh, my God. Because I was going to say, you've had plenty of bad jokes, but yeah, that is definitely a bad joke. Yeah. Yeah.
That's officially first bad dad joke.
Well done.
I thought it was quite clever. I thought, the cat cave, the bat cave. I thought
Yeah.
that was quite
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I got it. I'd applaud you if it wasn't such. It wouldn't make such bad audio. So just pretend I'm applauding you. Well done.
Okay, maybe we'll just edit this part out so none of my family and friends can get to hear my bad joke.
You are a worry.
All right, now our initial thoughts on this film. You go first, because
right.
I'm always curious to see what you think.
Cool, yeah. Well, because we haven't discussed it yet. I was it had such huge hype. Everyone, it was like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for quite a while, and
I don't like where this is going.
And I quite enjoyed it. It probably didn't quite live up to the hype that I was expecting, because it was so hyped. Because there were a few moments that fell a little bit flat for me, but overall, I thought it was a really fantastic film. I thought, it's certainly a very strong origin story, even though we've kind of seen Black Panther already. It made me friggin' love Wakanda. I want to go to Wakanda and live there. That place is awesome. Cool character, and I can't wait to see him now, because now he has more of a character, so I can't wait to see him integrated in the greater MCU, coming for the next few films. And but again, one of the big things for this, for me, and a couple of people have been talking about it as well, is a great villain, which is fantastic.
Yes. Now, I'm actually quite surprised you say that, because I think it did live up to the hype, and I think it almost succumbed past the hype that it was around.
Wow.
I actually think this is on par with Iron Man as the best solo film in the MCU, to be honest.
That's a big call. Well, I don't know what else. You might be right, because I'm not sure how many other solo films would live up
As I said,
to that level.
I actually just think that 100% you're correct. It's hands down the best villain Marvel's produced. He actually had some depth. He actually had a reason why, and a very good reason why he wanted to take over. It's got so many elements of revenge, family betrayal, family secrets. Then you got a nice whole James Bond element that we had never seen before, in the MCU. It just brought so much, and it basically could act as a whole standalone film, because you didn't really reference, maybe 3 or 4% of the film back to what the MCU was doing. Really, the only reference back to was was it CIA agent and Claw. And other than that, this was its own story. It didn't have to buy into what the MCU was delivering at the time, considering this is the last film before, the Infinity Wars.
Exactly right. And I really like that. And they could have gone down the road, Black Panther is kind of an unknown quantity. Let's just load him up with, links to previous films. But I'm really glad they didn't do that. It is a fantastic standalone film. And even all those links that are in there are explained. You don't need, I don't think, any outside information. This could be the only Marvel movie you see, and you could still leave having a complete film, having a complete picture, which was really
absolutely
great.
100%. And all the actors that were in it, my God,
very good.
And what a powerhouse! There was not one weak flaw in this film.
No, I completely.
So
agree.
as I said, for me, I think it's almost the best solo film apart from Iron Man to date.
And can I say, it was fantastic for its. I know it's getting lots of praise for it's the first black superhero and all that, which is fantastic, and it is great to see this this civilization, and it makes some really interesting political points as far as that's concerned. But I was surprised and really heartened, because the women in this film are kick-ass. Like, I don't think there's any other Marvel film. There's definitely not any other Marvel film where it has so many awesome women in it, making decisions and getting shit done.
No, well, I think this is where Phase 4 is going to be heading. I personally think. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these. Women take the forefront in these films, which is great, because we've already seen, basically 10 years worth of these male superheroes. And of course, obviously, we already know that there's going to be big shift come Phase 4 with some of these males not going to be there. So it's good that they're setting up these characters now, so then when that does happen, we already know who they are and we're ready to rock and roll with them.
Exactly right. So you'd recommend going to see it?
Absolutely. As I said, I personally think it's one of their best, and it's completely different to everything else.
Yeah.
And as I said, it could just act as a standalone film. It didn't even have to be part of the MCU, to be honest.
Agreed.
I thought the political messages were really good. Some people thought, they were a bit too much and a bit too preachy. But given the climate that we live in, I thought it was pretty to the point of where we're at, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't have any issues. It was a film that black individuals formed many of the key creative elements. It was about many elements of black culture. Like, it can't be not political at some points, but I didn't feel like it was like thickly laid on or anything. Maybe if you're American, you might be more cognizant to them. But I thought they were fine, and they were very digestible and completely understandable.
Yeah, 100%. And just quickly, I just want to go through the top five on Rotten Tomatoes so far from the MCU, and you're going to be quite surprised. Is that Black Panther sits on 97%, Iron Man 94, Thor Ragnarok 92, The Avengers 92, and Spider-Man Homecoming 92.
No, I dig that. I like that. I'm surprised there's no Civil War up there, or even Winter Soldier, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's quite surprising too. And considering that, basically Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and Homecoming are all in the last, 12 months, they are getting their shit together late in the piece by the sounds of it.
That is a great point. Beautiful.
And just on Ryan Coogler, who directed this, he is on Black Panther 97, Creed 95, and Fruitful Station 94. There is his first three films, and he's already set the world on fire. So this guy, like we said it at the end of Creed, this guy can do anything he wants now.
Yep.
After this, my God.
And the bastard is 2 years younger than me, so...
For Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
Yes, but not as good looking.
That's not true at all. Have you seen his photo? The man's dashing.
According to your mum. Let me finish the joke.
No, she would disagree with you.
All right, well, let's kick into the movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, now, while we were gone, there were some trailers dropped that we'll quickly go through, and there's some big ones here. So let's start off with Han Solo. To be honest, I wasn't that thrilled with this trailer, actually.
Yeah,
Kind of just looks like more of the same of what we've already seen in Rogue One and not so much Last Jedi. But I'm just like, yeah.
Is it possible that you can get fatigued on stuff? I didn't think it was possible. But...
I don't know. As I said, I do like the fact that he, was training to be a pilot for the dark side. So that was cool. That was a good revelation. But there wasn't really anything there that was just like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome.
And I think that's taken from the expanded universe books that he was originally an Imperial pilot.
Yeah,
which is cool. And look, it's a cool idea. And I'm definitely going to be seeing it as soon as possible. Lando Calrissian looks awesome. I think it's interesting. I assume his love interest in the film, played by, what's her name again? Khaleesi.
Yeah, we'll just call her
Khaleesi. Yeah, Khaleesi. I find it interesting that they've chosen her, and she's very kind of regal looking in the film. So I wonder if they're laying down the groundwork. I assume she's going to die or something. And that's going to add to his cynicism. But it's funny that they're giving her a kind of princess vibe, which might, help to, if that's his first love, help to show why he had such a love for Leia down the road.
Well, I hope that her performance is better than what she delivered in the Terminator movies. So, yeah, it was horrible. So let's hopefully, that she isn't just a one-trick pony, and her name is Emilia Clarke. Let's hope she's not just a one-trick pony, and she, just can't do Khaleesi the whole time. So fingers crossed for this movie. As you said, it's already got my money. I'm going to see it. But as I said, there was nothing really there that got me excited just yet.
No, exactly right. And as many people have pointed out, I'm sure they're going to do it, but I wish they wouldn't just explain make every single reference to Han Solo's past from the original trilogy and jam it into this film. It'd be nice if there was still some mystery left at the end of this movie, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, this is the problem now that they've got, because we saw with The Last Jedi, and it's actually funny that I'm saying this, but I reckon they're going to be really disappointed that it only made $1.3 billion when The Force Awakens made over $2 billion. Like, it's a $700 million difference, where it should be the other way around, to be honest. But in saying that, what people didn't like and what didn't get the return audience was the fact that it was so different to what they were expecting, and it didn't necessarily follow the formula that we had seen before. So I reckon they might be a bit nervy as to what they do. They might have to just put all the nostalgia back into this film, that we don't necessarily want to see because it'll be too different, but then you don't want to make it too different because then you're going to upset the Star Wars nerds. So it's a catch-22.
There's a competing theory here in that the second film didn't go as well because the first film was so samey to the original series. So people didn't bother going to see the second one.
Oh, that's an interesting theory too. I'm more on the fence of that they didn't like what they saw, so they didn't come back.
I think, to be honest, that's probably more likely the case because I don't think you get over $1 billion just by people going once. But if you get over $2 billion, it's by people going multiple times. So yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yes. All right. The next trailer was again so. It looks like more of the same. But the first one was Jurassic World 2: The Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, and we had seen a trailer for this already, and this one kind of added. It seems like they're going down the road of genetically modified dinosaurs in this one, more so than the last one, like creating real monsters. And I would not be surprised if they were going down the human dinosaur hybrid line, given because in the trailer you see this dinosaur coming into a girl's bedroom, and it seems like a very not intelligent like a human predatory kind of thing. Like, it's not just going there to eat her, it's going there to scare her.
Correct, yeah. So, look, this one, I'm definitely going to go watch it. But as I said, at the moment, it's not tickling my fancy, to be honest. It doesn't look any different to what we've seen.
And they're doubling down on the Chris Pratt friendship with the Velociraptors line, which young me probably would have really been into. But older me is kind of like, I've kind of had enough of Velociraptors. Let's see some more Ankylosaurus.
Yeah. All right, well, those two we were so on, but the next two we were really excited for. The first one is the Deadpool 2 trailer. As you've spoken on previous podcasts, this marketing team just know what to do with this. We get to see this big action first 30 seconds of the film, and then we see that Cable's arm hasn't been fully rendered in CG yet. He's still wearing a green sleeve sling, and then obviously they break the fourth wall and Deadpool calls them out on that. So as I said, that is so fucking cool in what they're doing with this. And then we get this hilarious scene where Deadpool is playing with two figures, and then Deadpool rubs his crutch in Cable's face, which was so damn cool. And then obviously we get an awesome action montage.
Did you say
they're doing everything
Deadpool rubs his crotch in Cable's face, and it was so damn cool?
Yes.
I just love how that's the thing. Yes, I was loving the Toy Story references. That was the bit that I liked.
Yeah, that was cool as well. But where the hell are you ever going to see a Deadpool rubbing his crutch in Cable's face, to be honest?
That's probably true. You know what? I'll probably say it 3 times in the film itself, but yeah, that's true. And what's great about this marketing is they can build the hype without really showing any of the film. Like, they do show flashes.
No, that's right.
So it's great. We don't.
The best
really
thing about
know
it
what
is
we're
we know
getting
fuck all about it.
Yeah, exactly right. I assume that Cable's coming back in time to kill Deadpool, but there'll be some kind of, mistake shenanigans, and they team up and kill the bad guy. But that's cool. Like, I don't know who the big bad guy is or anything like that, and I'm liking it. It's going to be awesome.
I hope it's Mr. Sinister. I hope there's some reference there to that.
Yeah, exactly right. And how shit his name is. I hope Deadpool brings that up.
I reckon it's a cool name, but, each to their own.
It sounds cool, but it's kind of like Darth Plagueis or, those kinds of names. Like, really? Did you just go through, like, Thesaurus for bad and put that at the end of your name?
So cynical. I love it. All right. One of the ones that you and I have been waiting so many damn years for, and it still got me stumped why we've waited so long for this sequel, and that's The Incredibles 2.
Yes, and this looks really cool.
It looks, as I said, it's been so many years in between, but it just looks like the film is following basically from the last scene of the last film. So
yeah, it does.
We are seeing, the big shift now. It looks like the focus is going to be on Elastigirl with Mr. Incredible staying home looking after the kids, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's a nice swift in what everything's doing. And as I said, it just seems to be the general trend at the moment of where certain films are going, which is good. I like that. As I said, we haven't seen this before, so let's do it. But the characters themselves, it's so cool to see Dash again, and it's so good to see the whole family. Jack is developing more of his powers, and his parents have got no idea of what he actually can and can't do. Yeah. So this is really exciting. I can't wait to see this one.
And I just love that. Obviously, I mean, the first one had such good adult themes of what happens when a man gets his mid-40s or whatever, and is feeling like his best days are behind him. Like, that's what the story's really about. Whereas this one's like, it seems to be can women, both have a career and also be at home, and what happens to a father who's kind of left behind. So I'm sure there's going to be cool action sequences and stuff like that, like there was in the first one, but there's still movies for adults as well. They're still dealing with themes and ideas that adults have to deal with. So fantastic work, Mr. Bird. And Edna Mode's back, which is awesome.
And this guy is such a great director, and he probably hasn't found his niche yet in live action, but in terms of animation. Actually, speaking of which, I finally got around to watching his first film, The Iron Giant, and my God, that film is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, get onto it. It's got such a beautiful ending. It almost made me tear up. It was that good.
It's just a great...
I've seen it twice now with my younger son, and he loves it.
Oh, fantastic. Good choice. Much better than Fantastic Four.
Yes, I agree. All right, now, speaking of the trailers. All right. The next trailer we're talking about is the Venom trailer. Or they could just call it the Tom Hardy in a 90s action film trailer. This trailer looked so fucking bad, it is not funny.
Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as you hated it. And I completely take the criticism of that it looks very, very 90s. It's insane how... I wonder if it's set in the 90s, because that's what it seems like. Although it can't be, because Spider-Man's in it.
Yeah, I don't know. But this film just looked like... There was... Back in the 2000s, there was this director who made 2 hack jobs of Marvel films called Mark Steven Johnson. He directed Daredevil and Ghost Rider. It looks like they've brought him back secretly to direct this film.
Wow. That's
how bad this looked.
It's...
fair enough. But they've only just wrapped production, and they probably don't have any finished shots yet. But why put the trailer out if there's nothing there to be seen? Like, people want to see even just a microsecond of fucking Venom. Do you think they gave us that? Nothing. They just gave us Tom Hardy having on a chair, and then we're like, yep, here it comes. Nothing.
Well, I think because Super Bowl and Black Panther, I think that's why they wanted to get it out so quickly.
Absolutely.
But I agree, there's been a lot of blowback from it.
Yeah, well, there's been massive fallout from this. At the moment, they were basically saying what you just said, that they rushed this so quickly just to get something out for the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
And put it out in front of Black Panther. So you're correct on that one. Even the Deadpool creator, Rob Liefeld, came out and said that Sony, stop calling out bloggers and expressing your dissatisfaction with what they're saying, which is only the truth. You ran a teaser trailer that wasn't ready for prime time. Have a look in the mirror, Sony. Oof. So, exactly. So they're pretty stern words coming from the Deadpool creator. So look, I don't know why they needed to rush this. They don't need to. The film's coming out late in the year. You've still got Comic-Con coming on in a couple months. That's when you should load up and then attack. Don't just give us something out, that your couple shots that you've finally finished and just put it together in a trailer. It just looks shit, and people are disappointed already for this film.
It shows to me, like, if you look compared to the Deadpool team, the one team understands their audience and the other team doesn't. So I think that's what we're seeing here. And look, the film, the more I hear about the film, the more I'm kind of like, maybe it could work. We know that Spider-Man makes a cameo. I assume they're going down the Ultimate Venom storyline, so there's no... he doesn't get it in space. It's created from Spider-Man's DNA, which would mean that Spider-Man doesn't actually have to wear the suit at any time. But it would still have his powers and his looks because it sort of comes from him. And we know now that Carnage will be making an appearance as well, but he won't be the villain.
Yes, well, there's been talk of this as well, and there is a site that is reporting. They're called the Hashtag Show, and they've been reporting that yes, Carnage will be in it, but fans will be disappointed to hear that it could possibly be either in a mid-credit scene or an end-credit scene, or he could appear in the final scene of the film. So he's not necessarily going to be a big part of it. He's only going to be hensed and referenced to and possibly seen.
I'm okay with this. Like, if you want to make a sequel, Carnage is the sequel. That's fine. And in this one, it's all about Brock and getting his powers and finding out whether he likes eating brains or not.
Yeah, but for me, they want to build this universe, but if they don't get the first one right, the rest of it ain't going to happen. Kind of like what happened at exactly Dark World style. So you really want to get everyone on board with this first film, because if everyone's not on board, then it doesn't happen after that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yes. All right. Well, over in the Star Wars universe, there was some news that got me hell of I'm sure got you hell of excited,
Yeah.
and the whole internet hell of excited. Is that the duo who are the showrunners and creators, basically, of the Game of Thrones TV show, are given a license to create their own trilogy in the Star Wars universe.
Which is a great idea, and I hope we see some of that Game of Thrones tact and nuance brought into the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, so this is going to be completely separate from the Skywalker saga. So they've got free reign to do with anything they want. It's going to be separate from the Rian Johnson trilogy that they announced a couple of weeks ago as well, or late last year. There's no timeline yet of when these are going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to see how good these two are with creating their own material, and not obviously having the George R. R. Martin book series to basically base their story on.
Well, they're fantastic adapters. We know that. I really hope they go to the Old Republic. Like, it's like 3,500 years before Luke Skywalker. Completely different universe. Like, that would be cool. That would be something that would take us away from this, just another kind of Han Solo type movie, and really give us something special. Like, the Old Republic at the height of its power would be really awesome to see.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And, there's so much source material out there. I'll be interested to see whether they create something of their own, or they kind of, start basing their stuff on something else that, what you've just mentioned.
I want to see Game of Thrones in space, like that kind of intrigue. I think that would be cool, rather than
absolutely.
an adventure. Like, you can have adventure elements, of course, but something that's a little bit more you can sink your teeth into a little bit. You can walk away having actual debates about, rather than just how cool it looked. Nothing wrong with that. I love a movie where I can just go in and say how cool it looked. But for the Star Wars universe, like the Marvel universe did and started, experimenting with different genres, I think it's time that the Star Wars universe started experimenting with different genres.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the guys, his name is David Benioff. He's written some other films before. He's written this fantastic Edward Norton film called The 25th Hour, which is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, go out and watch it. But he also did write Wolverine, the Origins movie. So, it's a bit hit and miss when it comes to...
I'm sure that was studio interference there.
Yes, we'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Yes. But the film was shit, so studio interference or not, the film was horrible. All right, well, speaking of films that are horrible, there's word out today that the Transformers franchise looks like it's going to be rebooted after the spin-off movie Bumblebee.
Look, that's the nicest thing that could possibly happen to that series. And, of course...
I was going to say, there was a lot of silence between what I finished with and what you started with, so you were like, I don't care.
I don't know why they're getting... why they're pushing out this Bumblebee movie if they're going to reboot it. Like, I understand from a merchandising perspective, but rebooting this, if you want to make more Transformers films, you've got to get away from this shithole of a series currently. And Michael Bay's stepping away apparently from the series, which is great.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so we can actually maybe get some consistency in the series. I don't know, maybe have like an actual characters that you enjoy watching. That could be great as well. I don't know.
Yeah, well, basically, Hasbro and Paramount Pictures are discussing their new contracts, and Hasbro want more of a creative say in what happens in these films, which is good, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who tell the story, and they're the stories that the fans want to see, not necessarily the stories that the studio want to pump out and think what the fans want to see.
Exactly right. And look, Michael Bay is very talented. He made a bunch of money off those Transformers films, but let's actually have good movies.
Yeah. He should have left the franchise 2 films ago, to be honest. After the third one, he should have handed the realms on to someone else. But the fact that each film was making over $1 billion, they were going to always stick to the same game plan and try and get that money.
Yeah.
But, we are going to see, hopefully, a step in the right direction now. Hopefully, we'll see action where we can actually make sense of what the fuck is going on, rather than all these quick cuts that we're used to seeing in Michael Bay films. So fingers crossed they're going to do this right.
All right.
And speaking of Michael Bay, this one I'm a little bit hesitant about, but Warner Brothers want him to come on board and direct a Lobo film.
Yeah, I think this is a bad move, personally.
So do I.
I don't think he's got, because I think that the rumors are right. They're trying to go for their own Deadpool. Lobo, I don't think is the right character for that, number one. And number two, I don't think Michael Bay is the kind of director, like, because you need an intelligent director to make something like Deadpool work, and that's not his style. I'm not, like I said before, I've got a lot of praise for Michael Bay. He's good at what he does, but this is not what he does.
Yeah. Look, if anyone doesn't know who Lobo is, he's this bounty hunter who is almost indestructible, and he drives around this space-age motorcycle from cosmos to cosmos searching for his next target. Now, I disagree with you. I think he can be, DC's version of Deadpool because he is so unorthodox to anything else that they have, and he can break that fourth wall, which Deadpool does so well. But does he have a big enough following for this film to warrant, a $200 million Michael Bay budget? I don't think so. As you said, I think they need to go low key, get a great action director like they did with Deadpool. They got two blokes who basically were stunt directors, let alone film directors. This is what DC are doing so wrong. They're just throwing money everywhere and hoping that it's going to come back in some type of form. Let the creative process take its course. Get someone in who is actually talented, as you said, who isn't going to cost a fortune. Spend, $100 million and hope for the best that this film, can turn into Deadpool. If not, then you haven't, gone on the big flops of what you previously have done in your DCU.
And this is what DC have been doing. They've been like going all in on these films, and they're just terrible at poker, and they keep losing.
Yeah, I agree. So tame it down a little. Don't throw so much cash at the table. Let the character develop rather than just force it down people's throats, in my opinion.
Now,
yes.
I just love how full circle it's come, because we had Deadpool, who was a parody of Deathstroke from the DC universe, and he made all this money now for Marvel, and Lobo, who is a parody of Wolverine, except in space, will hopefully be the new moneymaker for DC, but I'm not sure it's going to happen, so we'll see. DC might just try to put their foot in it again.
Yep, I agree. And speaking of the DC universe, we got now this is a confusing part of what they're doing here, is that they're going to have their own Batman spin-off series, which Matt Reeves is directing now, but they're also going to have their own spin-off Joker movie, which at the moment it is directed by Todd Phillips, who directed The Hangover. I don't know how you go from The Hangover to a Joker film, but it's also produced by Martin Scorsese. But at the moment there is talks that Joaquin Phoenix could play the Joker,
which is pretty insane, if you ask me. Now, is this supposed to be an origin film? Because isn't he as old as Jared Leto?
Well, this is supposed to be an origin film, but as I said, it's completely separate to the DCEU. So we're going to have two Jokers basically at the same time in a DC universe, not in the same DC universe, but in DC's slate of films. This one is going to be set in the early 80s Gothams, and Todd Phillips is co-writing the script.
And can I say that that's a cool notion, like dark, gritty crime 80s film, probably like neo-noir with the Joker. But don't do it at the same time that you're doing everything else. I'm not a movie executive. I'm just a guy from a small town in Australia. But surely, you don't have to be a genius to understand that that's a mistake.
No, I agree. It's too confusing. Again, it sounds rushed. Again, it's exactly what DCU or DC do. But if they could pull off Joaquin Phoenix, I think he's a hell of a choice. This guy is got so much acting chops, it's not funny. But he's also dabbled a little bit in comic books. He was offered and turned down, apparently, the roles for Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Lex Luthor. So, he has been on their radar for a long time. But if you're going to put the pressure on someone to take on the Joker, I think Joaquin Phoenix is perfect for it.
Yeah, because the thing is, I don't think he'd feel the pressure. He'd just do his thing, which is pretty
Correct.
awesome. He would have been a fantastic Lex Luthor. I would have liked to have seen that. I mean, I'm kind of glad we didn't see that, because that film
would have been a waste.
Deserve him, but yeah.
Yes. No, I agree.
In a good film, it would have been amazing.
Yeah. I've loved this guy since he was in Gladiator. I thought his role in that was just outstanding. And then he kind of went through this weird stage where, he said that he retired from acting. But even though we found out later that it was all part of a spoof doco, that he quit acting and went into rapping. I don't know if you ever saw it, but he did this appearance on the David Letterman show. He was absolutely brilliant. And as I said, no one could work out what the hell he was doing. But the fact that he could pull it off and have the world guessing what he was doing, whether he was making it or whether it was real or not. That's why I'm saying this guy's got so much acting chops, it's not funny. So, I've said before that the Joker needed his own solo film and could hold his own, and I personally think Joaquin could definitely hold it in his own without having to have a Batman or any type of superhero involved in this film.
Sounds like he could hold your own. You'd be okay with that.
Absolutely, he can hold my end any way he likes.
Look, and I agree. I think he would be a fantastic addition to the DCEU. I just wish it was a better DCEU that was, made for him.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, one universe that they've been trying to get off the ground for so long, and it's one that I hold very dear to my heart because it's what I grew up with, and it's the first, real toys that I got into, and that was called He-Man.
Yeah.
So a while ago, Sony announced that David S. Goyer was going to direct the first film in hopefully a trilogy for He-Man, and I was a bit like, oh God, really? But I was like, all right, it's good, at least we're getting the ball moving. But apparently now he has dropped out due to scheduling issues, which I don't believe. I think it's got more to do with creative differences. And again, we are on the lookout for a He-Man director.
Come on, guys. Dolph Lundgren's not getting any younger. We need to get this made.
I know, we need redemption for that film. That film, at the time, I fucking loved it.
Yep.
But going back and watching it later on, it is horrendously bad.
There's so much... Yeah, I think the time is right for a good He-Man reboot because you can make it very tongue-in-cheek all the time. It's still got the nostalgia. As long as you didn't take yourself too seriously making it, I think you could make it a fantastic series of films.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember watching that film. Then this film came out in 1987, so I would have been about 8 years old. I went to the cinema to watch it with my dad, and this had like one of the first end credit scenes. So at the end of the film, Skeletor comes out of this molder saying, "I'll be back" type line. And I'm 36 years old and I'm still waiting for him to come back. I was so excited for a sequel at the time for this film, saying, yes, Skeletor's coming back. We're going to get another movie. And it's 2018 now, and I'm still waiting for another fucking movie. It's been 30 years. Let's get the ball cracking, and I want to see He-Man back on the big screen.
Yep, awesome.
Now, just a special side note, there's this fantastic series that's on Netflix at the moment called The Toys That Made Us, and it basically documents so far we've got 4 episodes. It documents Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, the Star Wars toys, and Barbie toys. And if you're a pop culture nerd like me, you will love this series because it basically tells the stories of how these toys were created, how they basically came from nowhere and just became these huge blockbusters in the toy world. The Star Wars one itself and the Master of the Universe ones are fascinating to watch. The Star Wars one is so cool because no one wanted to touch these toys, and it landed at this little toy company in Cincinnati, and Star Wars went boom, and so did they. So if you've got a chance to, it's 4 episodes so far. Watch all of them on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us.
I like it.
There's 4 episodes coming up later in the year, and one of those is going to be Transformers. So, as I said, if you're a real pop culture nerd, you'll definitely love this one.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
Yeah, get on that one. All right, well, over in TV world, it's a movie a series that no one's really been asking for, and we could be getting a Child's Play Chucky TV series.
Which is interesting. I like the concept of the Chucky series, and I've seen like maybe the first 3 films. To prepare for this, I actually read the synopsis of the latest one, and I just thought, what the hell is going on? This is what happens when you make like 6 or 7 films of a series that didn't need a third. But it could be interesting. Have you seen the latest one?
No, I think I stopped. I remember when we were working at Hoyt's. I don't know why I went to this with my dad, but we went and watched. It was one Chucky one where the son of Chucky, or what I think it was called.
Yeah.
But I went to watch this one with my dad, and I had to sit there and watch Chucky fuck the other doll and create a baby. So, as I said, that was awkward enough as it is. And I've already spoken about the time I watched this French film called Irreversible. And my dad said, "Oh, what are you watching?" I watched this French film, and he sat down, and there was a 20-minute rape scene just long after he sat down. So they're the most 2 uncomfortable times I've ever spent with my dad.
Is this why you took your son to see Fantastic? Because it's like, You've had these terrible experiences with your father, so it's like must be how fathers and sons bond.
That's right. So I was starting early with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the last Chucky movie that I watched.
Well, that's terrible. I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
The last film was about. It's a long, convoluted plot, but basically the premise is that the bad guy managed to be able to put his spirit into lots of different people and dolls. So it's not just one Chucky doll anymore, it's people and dolls, and there's a bunch of them. So I assume a series could be about maybe like hunting these dolls down or hunting these people down. That could be kind of cool. And you don't know like who's the bad guy and who's not. It's an interesting premise. I don't know if they're going to go down that road, but I don't know. I know some people who will be very into this, so whatever. Give it a go.
Well, the producer of the series is saying that there is going to be 8 one-hour-long episodes, and it's going to be dark and disturbing, and they're getting the original guy, Brad Dourif, to come back and voice the role of Chucky. And he says the series isn't a reboot, but it's going to follow the events deliberately set up at the end of the last film. So you could be onto something there.
That's what makes me think that hopefully it's something along those lines. That's a nice self-contained story, and they can move on at the end. Though I'm sure they'll have, like, again, an after-credits scare or something.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, there's a film that we've spoken about at length a few times now, and that was the torture porn film Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
It was a huge box office success, and I think, how long has it been? Nearly 15 years later, we're getting the sequel towards this film.
Jim Caviezel can finally get a role again.
Yeah, I don't think he's done a film since.
I'd love it if Mel Gibson cast somebody else in the role, and Jim Caviezel just like destroyed. Gone.
Yeah. But he came out and said something really weird this week, and I just want to read this out. There are things that I cannot say that will shock the audience. It's great. I won't tell you what he's going to do, but I'll tell you this much. This is going to be the biggest film in history. It's that good. Now, that's a fucking pretty big hype.
Particularly because we know what happens. Like, we've got access
exactly,
to the
that's what
source
I'm
material.
The Bible is out there. You can just read what's going to happen. So, how this is going to be the biggest film of all time, I don't know. Maybe he's going to get some avatars in there because that's the biggest film of all time so far. So, maybe if they can merge the two, somehow they can send Jesus into the Avatar world and he can save the trees and everything else.
No,
there's the biggest plot of all.
This is what happens.
Or Jesus can come back and he can save the Titanic. He can raise the Titanic out of the water. That's the second biggest film of all time. So you can put Jesus in there. He can save Jack and bring him back, and Rose and Jack can be reunited. I'm just pitching ideas of how this film can be the biggest film of all time.
I think what's going to happen, there has to be a big twist. Jesus dies, spoilers, in the last film, and in this one, Jesus wakes up, but he's actually he's actually like Sully in the Avatar. Like, he comes out of a pod because he was actually like someone from the future who went into Jesus' body to try and help the natives. That could be cool. It could be Avatar.
This has got $3 billion written all over it.
Oh, absolutely. Mel, call us. Yeah, yes. I just don't understand. It wasn't even like, it was like 3 days, wasn't it? He like, are they going to show that? I assume there's going to be some time of people mourning and being sad that Jesus is dead, and then he rises up, and then nothing. Like, is the end of the like? There's no arc here. No,
I agree. So as I said, unless they've found another story somewhere in some other testament, I don't know. But I don't know how they're going to get the torture porn element in this.
No, I would actually love it if they just went like end of times, post like the apocalypse, because we haven't really seen that on film. Like, and the whole film is just God with his armies marching down, smiting the earth for their evil and taking the good people up to heaven. Like, that would be at least worthy of going to the cinema to see, to say, wow, this is an insight into Mel Gibson's brain.
Yeah. Look, I still think the Avatar plotline is a lot better, but, whatever works.
Or doesn't work in this case.
Yeah. But Randall Wallace, who wrote the Braveheart film and the first Passion of the Christ film, has penned this new film. So, there is some, decent talent behind it.
Yeah, and look, you could probably say the first film was well written and well directed for what it was, but just...
Oh, the film was great. I actually really enjoyed that film. At times it was a little bit hard to watch. But,
that's kind of the point, though, yeah.
According to the Bible, that's what happened. So we hadn't really seen... that side of the story before, or that
Yeah.
brutality of the side of the story. But for what it was, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool.
All right, well, there was a story that my son wanted me to mention on this podcast because he loves this game and these characters. And Christopher Columbus, who directed Mrs. Doubtfire and Home Alone, is directing a Five Nights at Freddy film. Now, if you don't know what this is a huge game, a huge toy line, a huge everything, for young kids. And basically the game revolves around a security officer who has to sit and monitor security cameras at this restaurant that just has human-sized animatronic animal characters who roam around at night, and you almost never see them move, but if you do, they kill you. So how they make a movie out of this, I'm not sure, but he's quite excited to see it.
Yeah, the kids at I'm teaching year 7s now for the first time, and they love this shit. So I'm sure there's an audience out there, though I'm not sure how many parents will take their kids to see a horror movie. But then again, lots of people are playing it, so it can't be too bad.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to get a PG rating, because they're basically targeting kids. I don't know if they're going to make a fluffier version of this game. I don't know. But it's going to be one to watch. But it's got Christopher Columbus, and he's a very good director. So, we'll see what he does with it.
I'm excited. I won't see it, but I'm interested to see what happens with it.
I'm very excited. I'm not going to see it, but I'm still very excited.
But yeah, I like that this sort of indie game is getting a film. Maybe we'll have one good video game adaptation this century.
Yes. All right, well, we're going to talk about Black Panther now. If you haven't seen it, again, press pause. We'll hang around for you and come back and listen to what we say about the film. All right. Well, basically, there isn't really many spoilers to talk about, to be honest, because as I said, it didn't really... I thought it would have had a lot more set up, considering this is the last film before, the big Avengers Infinity War, which is only 2 months away, which is so fucking cool. I cannot believe it. But in saying that too, it didn't need to, because I thought maybe we might have seen the Soul Gem maybe make an appearance or maybe hinted at.
Yes.
But no, nothing at all. So this is what's quite cool, and what they're doing is that, we still don't know where this last stone is for the Infinity War for Thanos's gauntlet.
I still would assume it is in there, because the vibranium came from outer space. They said that, so I assume the gem has come with that meteorite.
Yeah, and we've seen in the trailer itself is that, there is a big battle taking place on Wakanda, and Thanos does land there, so it has to be there somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. Although, all the crops for the heart-shaped herb have been burned now.
Yeah.
So, there's a possibility that, I don't know, is he going to get depowered or something? I don't know. But anyway, that's all speculation. Let's talk about this movie.
Well, as I said from the get-go, I'm always been a big fan of villains, and I really loved what they did with Killmonger. The only thing I was disappointed with is that, and even though they did say it at the end of the film, I would have liked to have seen him hung around a bit more somehow.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen him basically play out as like a Loki-type villain. Not necessarily that he would eventually come on board and join the team, but at least have a presence in future Black Panther films.
Yeah, I yes, because I liked him, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they, because his speech at the end that he gives, why he doesn't want to be there, I think is absolutely suiting to his cool character, and that alone makes me think, I'm glad that he went out on his own terms, which I think is what he would have wanted.
Absolutely, and you said it perfectly. That speech he gave at the end, where he said, our forefathers were slaves for so long. I'm not going to be going down that route.
Bury me in the ocean with my forefathers who knew that death was preferable to slavery or something. That's
correct. Yeah. And he was happy to go out the way he did, and the fact that they took him up and they gave him that beautiful sunset, which his dad set up for him earlier in the film, which was so cool. Yeah, so basically the way I've been explaining this film to people is that it's kind of James Bond / The Godfather, where you've got the action sequences and you've got all the tech and all the gadgets that you would see in a James Bond film, but then you've also got the family story like you would see in the Godfather films, where you've got family secrets, you've got betrayals. You've got, all this, and then you've got the rise of a family member that no one knew existed, and him challenging for the throne of Wakanda. So, you've got these incredible elements that you would never expect to see in a comic book film. No. And this is what Marvel are doing so well, is that they're just bringing all these different stories and all these styles and all these film types and film tropes into a series that we've definitely weren't expecting to see when we started this journey 10 years ago.
Yeah, two big surprises for me because I knew that Michael B. Jordan was going to be good. I knew Chadwick Boseman was going to be good. His sister Shuri was awesome as a character, and I really hope she sticks around in the MCU and isn't just sort of like a bit player in the future, like basically his Q, but also, you know, brings a little bit of heart and humor to the universe. And Martin Freeman's character, I didn't realize he'd have such a big role in this film.
I still think it's weird him with an American accent, to be honest.
I agree, yep.
That was the one thing that was a little off-putting because, you know, he is such this great English actor, and I've seen him in so many films, and seeing him change his voice was a bit weird. But once you got over that, you know, he is quite good in this role. But surprising, like, why wouldn't you just get an American actor to play that role? Like, there's so many, you know, good ones, but
when we heard he was coming into the series, there was all this speculation about who he might play, and then it's a strange choice. I agree. Or just make him like, I guess I was just gonna make him say, you know, be a British agent, but I guess he got to be CIA.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway.
But going back on his sister Shuri, I think she'll actually be in the Avengers: Infinity War, especially the way the film ended, where now Wakanda is going to share their technology and their wealth with the rest of the world. I can kind of see her getting involved with Tony Stark somehow.
Yes,
and
I think that'd be cool.
sharing the technology that they both have. I think that would be an awesome setup in the Infinity War. So I definitely see that she hanging around.
Imagine if she became the new Iron Man, if Tony Stark was the Karkit.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool. I'll be into that.
But can she play that forefront, or can she just be the person behind the screen type character?
Well, we don't know. And look, I'm sure they play for that. And if, at the end of the day, like if she does take over the Iron Man role and Iron Man becomes a secondary character, then that's fine. Like somebody else's time to come forward, like a Falcon Cap or something like that. The new leader.
The one character I really liked, and I'm disappointed that he's not hanging around more, is Claw, played by Andy Serkis.
That made me so
I thought
sad.
He was fantastic. I thought he was really quite menacing, and you know, the fact that he, you know, come to the hand of Killmonger. Andy Serkis deserves to be on the screen a lot more rather than just in motion capture, to be honest.
I agree. He's very cool.
He's so cool, and he's got such great acting chops, and you know, the character that he was able to produce with Claw was so good. And as I said, I was disappointed to see him get his end.
Yeah, I kept expecting him to come back, and I'm kind of sad that he didn't. I mean, it would just would be nice, like an after credit thing, or I liked the way he went out. Like I liked it because it showed how Killmonger is just like taking no prisoners, whatever. Like he kills his girlfriend, kills Claw. But I wish he came back. In the comic series, he exists for a little while as sentient sound waves, but I don't think they're going to go through that with this film. I think that's probably a little bit too far out there.
No, I agree. And there was just so many different characters. I just want to quickly touch on. Her name is Dani Gurira, I think her name is, and she's actually in The Walking Dead as well. And she played T'Challa's basically right hand woman.
The best warrior in Wakanda. She was awesome.
Correct. Akui, I think her name was. She was fantastic. As I said, I've only seen her in this and Walking Dead, but my God, she is such a talented actress.
Her arc was really cool. Like I love characters like that who are like lawful good, kind of. I've got a duty, and this is like I'm just going to see it through. But it's hard for me to do, but I'm going to do it. And then at the end, when she like has to stand up to her husband, I thought that was a really cool arc that she had. She was awesome. And like so good, like when when Claw blows up the car and she like does the flip and like lands surfing on the bonnet, I'm like, that is awesome. Keep that up.
Yeah. And then one final character that I really liked was M'Baku, who in the comics was Man-Ape, but they were never going to call him that in this film because it's racist.
Yeah.
But his arc as well, where he basically challenged for the throne, he didn't get it, but he was still loyal to the cause at the end of the day.
That was cool.
I was expecting him to kind of turn it around and try and take it for himself.
He's a bad guy, yeah.
but he did the best for Wakanda, which is, as you said, with the other characters, they stayed loyal to the cause, which was good.
And it showed a lot about the society. Like the society, yes, there are disagreements, but at the end of the day, like there's honor and there's a tradition and those kinds of things was awesome. And I love like he stole the show and he came back in at the end. He's like, "I will feed you to my children." Just kidding, we're vegetarians. You're great. I love him.
He was a big man too.
Oh, yeah.
He was a monster. But as I said, overall, I really loved it. I thought I thought maybe for my son Ryder it might have been a bit too talky at stages, and I thought maybe that would probably let it down for in regards to kids coming to see this film. But at the end, when he got that last battle scene, he was up and about. He was fisting the air. He was all excited. So they do bring it back to a Marvel film at the end of the day.
Because that was the thing. Two of the things that kind of made me not enjoy this film, as perhaps I could have, was I thought some of the action was a little bit ill-defined or not maybe as exciting as I've seen action shot in the past. And some of the CG I thought was a little bit garish. Like particularly some things like the rhinos I think didn't look very good.
Yes.
And a few of the other movements of different characters. And even the final battle between Killmonger and Black Panther, like I couldn't shake the fact that I was watching a green screen for most of that. Which is like, and that just takes you out of the film because that last fight, like the conversations between the two characters was awesome. And it just gets, and that's the thing I think that just drew me out a little bit and made it not 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10.
Yep, no, that's fair. But actually, I preferred the more talky scenes than the action scenes, to be honest.
Yeah,
I thought
the talky scenes were great.
Yeah, no, as I said, I thought they found a really good balance between the two. Like it wasn't action heavy, but it also found that balance in telling the story as well and giving the reasons why we were getting these battles rather than just going from one action scene to another action scene to another one. So as I said, that's where you thought it was a lot smarter than other films that we've seen before, and hence why I think it's one of the best solo films they've done.
Yeah, and I agree. And it makes me, the best thing that a solo film can do is make me excited to see what the character is going to do next. And this film absolutely does that. Like, I can't wait to see how Wakanda comes into the... Because they're asking a lot of big questions now. Like, what does a country like Wakanda do in the world as it currently stands? I mean, they touched on some really big issues. So, do they just go in and fix everybody's problems? Or...
Correct.
It's kind of that... It's like classic thing. What is their role?
And that's what I love so much, the balance between T'Challa and Killmonger is that, Killmonger just wanted to burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
Where T'Challa wanted to help and basically give the technology to help everyone, where Killmonger wanted to basically wipe the world and let his people roam free, or not roam free, but take over the world again, like, basically they should have at the start.
Yeah.
So, you got so many different, the yin and yang of this film was so perfect, but there was no middle ground that they could find. So this is what happened at the end of the film.
And they do that in a lot of superhero films. Like they have like the good guy and the bad guy share some links and have just like slightly opposing views on how the world works. But I thought this is one of the best examples because you could understand both of their viewpoints and sympathize with both of them. But at the end of the day, like Killmonger was the killer. So.
And it basically came down, it was a more realistic and more grounded approach to the yin and yang side of this story rather than, a Thanos type character and an Iron Man type character. So it was a more grounded human level story and, with all the racism that happens, since basically the dawn of time. So, it all kind of brings back into everything, but also it's quite relevant to where we stand today too.
I always love doing what ifs like this. Imagine if Killmonger had won and started like arming the whole world, and then Thanos came down, and like how different that would play out. Like that's kind of a cool thing to think about. And it was like Killmonger versus Thanos.
Yeah.
I dig it. But yeah, no, really great film, and I definitely highly recommend anybody who's at all interested, which I'm sure people would anyway, to go and see it. But as I said, even if you're not interested in Marvel films, you could. It's a standalone thing. You could definitely go and see it.
Yeah, I agree. And I copped some flack at the end of last year for having a film list and a movie list. But I think Black Panther could actually go onto my film list at the end of this year.
Wow,
that's how much I enjoyed it. As I said, I think it kind of broke away from a movie and became a film. But we will see at the end of the year.
Yeah, great. Well,
All right.
I'm
I just
keen.
want to touch on some movies that I've seen so far
Yeah,
this
do it,
year.
do it.
Some good ones. I've got two ones here that you might not have heard of, but they're definitely one to watch. One is called Ingrid Goes West. It's about basically an Instagram stalker, and
Yes.
it's the main actress is played by Aubrey Plaza, who
Awesome.
I was disappointed she didn't get any nods for this film, even like a Golden Globe nod, because she was fantastic. So if you get your hands on that one, give that one a go. I got around to seeing another one called The Florida Project, which is at the moment being talked about in the Academy Awards and such. That was very good as well. But I think apart from Black Panther, my favorite film of the year so far is one called Molly's Game, which was written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who I just love. This guy is got so much talent, and it's basically about a woman who ran a poker game in Hollywood
yeah.
and New York. The film itself is so good that I went and read the book the next day and read the book within like a day and a half. It was that good. So, those are the ones at the moment that I would definitely go out and see. And another great one, it's a really good heart warmer and could get you tears at the end of the film. And that was a movie called Wonder, which is about a boy who has a deformed face, who's been homeschooled
Right.
his whole life. And goes to his first middle school day of school and basically goes about how, being different, can harm you in a way, but it also can make you grow as well. So it had a fantastic message. As I said, I teared up at the end of it. It was really beautiful film. So give those ones a watch so far that I have seen. And I've also seen other ones like The Post, Murder on the Orient Express, which I liked. Oh, and another one that I really loved was Guillermo del Toro's film, The Shape of Water.
Yes,
That film was so damn good. He is so talented. And another great message there where, two people who are so different in the world that we live in come together and, can form a friendship. So if you can get your hands on those ones, give those a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Awesome. Great recommendations.
All right, well, that wraps up the year's first episode of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week. Until next week. This week on Not Another Movie Podcast. You make me laugh already.
Sorry, mate.
All right.
Go again. We're out of practice.